It's fact or fiction. Can the Badgers actually land the big fish this offseason, Rajiv?
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Wisconsin Badgers fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers. I am your host, Ryan Herrings, again, part of the great Locked On Network, the #1 sports podcast network now, and we appreciate everybody for making that a reality for us. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, live NFL bets, go over to FanDuel.com, place all your bets on that incredible platform. All right, Rajiv, fact or fiction? We always do these shows, and I always want to reiterate for people, we don't prep each other with our questions. This is very on the cuff. I love doing these shows with you. If you're in the chat, throw some of your fact or fictions in there or react to our own. We were talking some hoops today, potential staff changes. We are definitely talking portal quarterbacks this offseason in general. I'm going to give you my first one. Are you ready, sir?
I'm ready. Let's get into it.
Fact or fiction? The Badgers actually land a big fish, tier A, no doubt about it, legitimate dude at the quarterback spot this portal season.
I want to say fact so bad. But honestly, until proven otherwise, I'm going to say fiction on this. And I hate to say that, but I just feel like I don't know that I trust that this staff's actually going to get this done. And it's not just that I don't think the money's going to be there. I don't know that we're going to be able to sell our offense and what we've done to one of those top guys. Because if you think about tier A, you said tier A, how many guys do you think are in that tier? What's your take on that? You think 3 or 4?
I think a few more. So I've done kind of a show, it'll release on Wednesday, breaking some of this down. I think you have about 5 or 6. So
Okay.
you have potentially Lenore Sellers, the USF guy. You have Colton Joseph, Levitt from Arizona State. There's a couple I'm missing off the top of my head. But I think it's like 5 to 6 if you break it up for tier A.
So yeah, so one of the arguments I know that we've talked about this before is like how many guys are out shopping, right? How many big time programs are out there looking? And we certainly are. And I know that we're in on Colton Joseph. Like you look at Colton Joseph's social media, it's like littered with Badger fans, just like come here. So I know that like obviously there's mutual interest there. I just worry about the staff's ability to close one of those big name quarterbacks. I'm going to say fiction on this, but man, I really want it to be true. It has to happen for this to really work, but it's not the money. It's, can we sell our program right now?
I think it's fact.
I hope you're right, man.
Yeah, and I hope I'm right as well, right? I hope I'm right as well, and I hope that you're as wrong as you've ever been on this. Because if we go into another year without really solid quarterback play, it's going to be just atrocious. But let me tell you, Ryan put his shave on today. I'm nice and clean faced. I feel like I got my business mind on. I'm being professional right now, and I can just imagine in those rooms at Wisconsin, if they've gone and said, for 2 years, 3 years now, it's been quarterback problem after quarterback problem. And if they said, we're going to open up the checkbook, we're going to pay money, they're going to get a quarterback. I really do believe that. I think they're going to pay what they need to pay. They're going to overpay where they have to pay. They're going to get a guy. And I really believe they're going to do that because they have no recourse, I don't think. And I agree with you. There's other programs that are going to be in on it. There's a lot of programs this offseason that aren't quarterback hunting. A lot of the big boys actually have their guys coming back, which is going to help Wisconsin. And I think they're going to pay. And ultimately, the two biggest things, and you and I could talk every single sport. I'm a huge baseball guy. You're a soccer person. We both love NFL. We're both NBA folks. Ultimately, athletes care about playing time and money. Those are the two biggest, and I was thinking about this earlier, those are the two biggest things that generally athletes care about. There's other things for sure, and everybody's wired differently. But if you can give a dude money and playing time and a platform, which in the Big Ten, they'll have that, they're going to get a guy, I think.
So will they get a guy? Yes. Will they get a top 10 guy? Yes. Will they get a top 5 guy? That's where I'm fiction, because I just think that's going to be hard. And I haven't done the deep dive on which programs are looking, but I mean, off the top of my head, like I certainly know there's some Big Ten schools out there. Obviously, Tennessee's out there looking. Alabama's going to be looking. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like other programs are always looking too because they're looking for depth. So they're not to say that a top guy's going to go to a depth situation, but they could. I don't know, man. I hope you're right though. I absolutely hope you're right.
Hooger says
along those same lines.
Really quick, Hooger says I put too much hype on Joseph. Hooger isn't the biggest fan. I think there's warning mark. There's red flags there with Colton Joseph for sure. I just really like the skill set. I like the size. I like the running ability. I also think he's a perfect fit for Grimes and this scheme. And I don't think Grimes is going anywhere. But Hooger, I definitely get your take on this.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. I think there is hesitation, but he is like, I don't, and I said this right away to you. I don't think he's a great thrower of the ball. And I always want a guy that can throw the ball, but it's better than anything we have on the roster right now. All right. Along those same lines, we obviously heard about Kellner. We've heard all this stuff about the money, but specifically the top third. Will Wisconsin, fact or fiction, Wisconsin will end up in the top third. That is top 6 of Big Ten spending next season. Will we actually be there? I know we're going to spend more. Will we eclipse that top 6, fact or fiction?
I think my first gut on this was fiction. And just really quickly, it's a great question. I think you have Ohio State, USC, Oregon, Michigan, Penn State. That's 5. Nebraska 6. I think we're just outside the top 6. Man, I'd love to be wrong on that one too. Just like you would love to be wrong on the getting a dude at quarterback. I just don't think there's any way we jump probably that top 4. And Nebraska spends a ton of money, so I don't know. Penn State has promised to spend a bunch of money with what they've done and bringing in a new coach with Matt Campbell. I don't think we do it, man. I think that hill is too far to climb for Wisconsin. Unfortunately, I would love to be there. I think it's fiction.
It's fiction. I agree with you. And that's one of the reasons I said fiction on part 1, which was your factoration about the quarterback, because I think we might need to be up there to get that kind of a quarterback like, Colton Joseph or whoever you might be talking about. I think it's more like 8th-ish, just because, again, like as much as we will increase our spending, other people will too. It's foolish to think that by just us going up into the upper third this year, that doesn't mean anything. I'm telling you, next year, everyone's going up. This program, this entire landscape that is college football is only going in one direction as far as spending. So I think you're going to have teams that even spent in the top 7 or 8, or they're going to be like, hey, we're going to go up to the top 2 or 3 now, where everyone's going to elevate. I just don't think Wisconsin's pockets are that deep. And I, again, would love to be wrong about this. I would love to think that Ted Kellner has inside knowledge. He knows exactly what we're going to spend, and he knows exactly what everyone else is going to spend. But he doesn't. He can't know what other teams are going to do. That upper echelon, the teams that you named, those are massive money programs that care a ton about this sport. We're just not there yet. So it's fiction, sadly.
I think the one caveat to that, if I would push back on anything, it's that those programs have already been spending money, right? So I agree that they will increase. The amount they're going to increase from kind of things I've heard and been told, Wisconsin is doing some now of what other schools have already been doing. So some of what they've already been tapping, Wisconsin is now going to start tapping. So let's say we go up 50% in spending, I'm just throwing out hypothetical numbers. They're not also going up 50% because they've already been tapping into things that we are now starting to tap into. And I agree, people are going to keep spending money, but our jump is going to be much more significant than a lot of these other schools because they've already been spending in that tier. So
yeah, the thing that I would also say is like, we don't have that big money, like, we had Kellner, and thank you for everything he does for the program, but we don't have that, like the guy at Illinois, that Geese guy who dropped $100 million on the program, right? We don't have that. Illinois is going to spend more money than we are. It's based on that alone. So, and we didn't count Illinois in that top 6 or 7. So I really worry about, like, yes, you're right. We're tapping into new areas of revenue. Totally agree with that. I just feel like it's going to be a very, very rough number for us to actually hit.
Yeah, no, I think you're hitting on some really good points here. And let's also not forget Michigan State just got a $401 million donation.
I mean, we could end up literally spending in the bottom half easily. We could spend in the bottom half.
How much money do you have to give Sparty $400 million? Anyway, I wish someone had that much money to give Bucky $400 million. All right, let's keep going here. We're going to take a quick second. Appreciate everyone tuning in as always. Throw your fact or fictions in. I'm starring some in the chat. Rajiv, if you see any fact or fictions in the chat or any comments you want to throw in there, star those as well. We will come back with more fact or fiction, including some thoughts on the coaching staff and Luke Fickell, plus a great guard question that I'm excited to get to Rajiv. We got lots of fact or fiction coming up next. First, a quick break for our friends of the show. Quick second, as always, to say thank you for tuning in to Locked On Badgers. Thank you for being part of this community. Today's episode brought to you by our great friends over at Omaha Steaks. And this is the holiday season. It is the giving season. It is hard sometimes to find gifts. And let's be honest, sometimes it's stressful. You want to find the perfect gift for the perfect people, but you're stressing out. You're trying to find the best deal and make sure it gets there on time, make sure they'll like it. Omaha Steaks is feeding people. It's giving them great gifts. It's giving them something they're going to love. It's giving them something that brings people together. From hosting to gifting, they deliver the world's best steak experience right to your door, because during their Sizzle All the Way sale, you can stock up and save in a huge way, 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. And it gets even better. Locked On College listeners get an extra $35 off with the code college at checkout. Who do you want to give this to? Give it to anybody. Give it to yourself. Omaha Steaks is just a tremendous gift that goes a long way and is just perfect for just about anybody on your gift list. Save big on gourmet gifts and holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Sizzle All the Way sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code college at checkout. Terms to apply. See site for details. That's omahasteaks.com, code college. All right, Rajiv, hit me with your next one here.
All right, man. So I'm going to stick on football. Fact or fiction? If Wisconsin doesn't add at least 4 day one starters on offense from the portal, they won't even make a bowl game in 2026. So 4 actual day one starters.
I think that's fact. I think you could have given me 5 and I would have said fact.
Okay. I almost did give you 5. I should have given you 5. Let's go 5. Okay. Do you think we need 5?
Pause. I think 4 to me is a lot, because let's just do some mental math. I think it's quarterback. I think you need 1 to 2 offensive linemen, 1 to 2 receivers, maybe a running back, depending on what happens. Like I think you get to 4 easy. If you want to be serious about this team, this is Rajiv, you and I have talked about this. This was the worst offense potentially in Wisconsin football history. And it can't all just be because of the quarterback. The offensive line wasn't good enough. God love Vinny Anthony, but the receivers weren't good enough. The running backs weren't good enough. You need probably 2 guys on the O-line. I think you probably need 2 at receiver. You need 1 at quarterback. That's 5 right there. So I'm totally buying this. Fact.
So I think 5, I would say fiction, because you definitely need a quarterback. We know that. And there's 2 offensive linemen and a receiver. I don't think you necessarily have to have the running back. And you have to factor in the schedule next year too. Like now that we got out of the Pittsburgh game, you got 2 locks in the non-con. Okay, you need 4 other conference games. There's just, the schedule is considerably weaker next year. There are only 4 home games and 5 road Big Ten games, but the road games are not that bad. I do think naturally, even if we already assume we already hit our rock bottom and we're moving forward and we're getting better defensively, we can maintain with obviously getting some portal ads. I think we can actually get to a bowl game, even if we have 4. I don't think we need 5 to get to, as far as starters, because there are still pieces on this team. And if we get 4 and one of them's a quarterback and 2 offensive linemen and a receiver, you're good. And I absolutely believe that Jones or Dupree will return. I don't think you need a starter at running back.
Are we saying like a 5-7 bowl game, or like a real?
No. A real bowl game, 6-6. I mean, you only got to win 4 Big Ten games out of 9, and your schedule is considerably easier. I mean, and we got 2 this year, and we were way worse. I mean, we're going to get better with the obviously the quarterback is a must in this scenario, of course. But I don't think it's going to be as difficult to get to 6 wins next year. That's really the ultimate point.
I think you're right. Actually, I think you're right. Hooger does say we need 6. Slim Lewis says fiction, 2 or 3. To your point, B. Weiss says fiction. Our schedule eases up next year. Hooger says you need a quarterback, 2 receivers, and 3 offensive linemen. So that's his 6 starters.
3 offensive linemen. I don't know about that. I don't think we need that.
Yeah, I do think Gregor's got to get Colton. Let's go. That's my guy. All Colton Joseph positive comments will show up on this screen today. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, I think you've convinced me. You're right. The schedule's easier. And to be frank, 6 wins is not some monumental task. I guess in my head, I kind of thought about maybe framing 7-8 wins, or like, this is a good year. If you get 6 wins, you go to a bowl. That doesn't make it a good year, but I think you're probably right. I think 4, but I do think you need 4 and some depth guys.
Yep.
Let me get this. Fact or fiction? Luke Fickell is the coach in 2027.
Oh boy, that's a good one. Why didn't I think of that one? I like it. I'm gonna say fact on this. Not that I initially wanted, because I don't want him now, but I'm going to say fact because clearly the university is going to invest. Clearly they've sort of hitched their wagon to this guy. And Chris McIntosh has hitched his wagon to him. And I think, as I just said, I do think we are going to go to a bowl game next year. I would be very shocked if we don't go to a bowl game. He's absolutely gone. But I think we will go to a bowl game. And as you've talked about in the past, the schedule sort of lightening up might potentially artificially, like, say, look, hey, he's got better. We're going to a bowl game. We need to keep him for another year to grow it again. I think he will survive next year because of the bowl game, because of the easy schedule. And again, 2027, even easier when it comes to Big Ten, because we got the same 5, but they're home. And yeah, it's fact. I don't want it to be fact, but it is.
I think it's fact. And I think you hit on one of the key reasons here. The Big Ten, or not the Big Ten, the Wisconsin administration, the program, the university has put the ballot for Luke Fickell. They've checked yes on that box. And if you check yes on that box and next year's better, you can't then go and remove your vote of support. Like, they're going to be, I think, because they're going to hit the portal, and I think they're going to be better because the schedule's easier. They're going to win 6 or 7 games. That's going to be obviously progress in the only category that most people, quite frankly, care about, which is wins and losses. I don't see. I think it's very likely he is the coach in 2027, man, because we're going to be better next year. And the university, this is what they want to do. This is the path forward that they want to have happen. So, yeah, I think he's the guy, man. What
do you think it takes for him to not be back in 2027?
5 wins or less.
Okay.
I really do. I think you can make a very good argument as a fan that next year you go 6-6 and he shouldn't be the coach anymore, because the schedule does get easier and you have more resources. Those excuses are gone. You look at this year's like pie plane chart, whatever you want to call it. It's schedule, injuries, resources, and then Luke Fickell. Next year you remove schedule and you remove resources. Injuries are always luck. But if next year they go 6-6, I would be like, no, that's not good enough. But I don't think the university is going to think that. And I'm not the decision maker. I think 5 wins or less, and I'm curious where you're at. I think he loses his job. 6 wins or more, I think he's here.
Yeah, same on that. It's 5. And honestly, if he doesn't get to 6, like, we play Michigan State, Rutgers, and Minnesota at home next year in the conference. We need to win all 3 of those games. I'm telling you, I'll tell you one more thing. If he loses another Axe game, especially at home next year, that's another big red flag that they need to solve. But that's 3 you got to get already. And that's already that. You're at 5 wins there. Then your away opponents are Iowa. That's going to be tough. Maryland with their quarterback still. That's not going to be easy, but again, we got to do it. At Penn State, that's going to be tough. At Purdue, you got to win that game. At UCLA, you probably should win that game. I've just identified 5 that I feel like you almost should win. That's 7 wins. That's going to get him another season. Mm-hmm. If you don't beat Michigan State, Rutgers, Minnesota at home, you've got bigger problems. Like how we said this year, if you don't beat Maryland at home, you got bigger problems. If you don't beat Rutgers and Michigan State at home, you got a problem. So I do think it's 5. And honestly, looking at that schedule, come on, man, you have got to get us to 6 or 7 wins. Otherwise, you need to get the hell out of town.
100% agree. I think 6 wins is a failure next year, but I don't think the university will look at it quite the same way. All right, what's your next one?
All right, let's switch over to basketball here. If John Blackwell keeps scoring at this level, he will go down as the best pure bucket getter, or his best scorer of the guard era from recruits. He had to have recruited them. Is he the best bucket getter of all of guards recruits?
Are we talking portal recruits into this as well? Or
no,
just high school
we're
recruits?
just talking actual high school recruits.
I think Johnny Davis is a better bucket getter than John Blackwell. I think he's more versatile. I think he did it against better competition. Like, he always had the best defender on him. I think right now you're seeing the best defender vacillate between Boyd and Blackwell. Johnny Davis is just a much more fluid scorer. He was more consistent in the mid-range. He got to the free throw line a lot more. Like, he put more rim pressure on teams. He was tougher to contain off the dribble. Blackwell's a better shooter from 3, but I think in every other aspect, Johnny Davis is a better offensive player.
I think the shooting percentage is why, and I'm not trying to just get into another Johnny Davis hating discussion, but I do feel like John Blackwell's, he's shooting 42% from 3 this year. In Johnny Davis's best year, he was 31%, right? And that was his All-American season. And he did shoot 45% from 2. Like, I understand he was a good scorer, But John Blackwell is also only getting better. I don't think we haven't seen the best of him yet. And now you're seeing that with Boyd obviously taking some pressure off him. His ability to just score, the control he has in the paint, his fadeaway, like I've always said, you've heard me say many times, I think Johnny Davis was a bit more out of control. Yes, he was a good scorer. Yeah, he scored 19 points, 19.7 points that season. Blackwell's averaging 21 right now, and I don't think that's going down. I think that's only going up. I think John Blackwell is going to average 23 or 24 points this season, which is an insane number. Now, of course, we're scoring more points, but I just think as far as now, is he overall better player? I'm not going to say Blackwell is better than Davis, but from I need a bucket, where am I going? I feel like I'm taking Blackwell right now. So I'm going to say fact on that.
It's crazy. I think that's a crazy take, and I love you to death. You're like one of my favorite people on planet Earth. There's 7 billion people here, so you're the very high percentage there.
And listen, winning gamblers saying Johnny Davis much better two-way player than Blackwell. Agree. I 100% agree. That's why I wanted to specify getting a bucket, because all around player, I'm nowhere near saying Blackwell is better than Johnny Davis, but I just feel like pure scoring, man. Like I like it. I trust him.
So here's the thing with Davis. Davis was the #1 by far option on a team that gave him very little help. So he was getting doubled. He was getting blitzed on screens. He wasn't in an offense like this that created space. Blackwell is averaging 20 a game. What would Johnny Davis do in this offense with Boyd next to him and spacing everywhere?
It's very fair. Very fair.
He was the apex of that offense, getting hounded by every defensive guard in the Big Ten. He's just a more dynamic scorer. He was way better in the mid-range. He took really tough shots, incredibly tough shots, because he had to consistently. That shooting percentage goes up if he's in this offense. And if you put Blackwell, I think if you did the inverse of that, you put Blackwell in Johnny Davis's spot and said, every team is going to send 2 guys at you, I think Blackwell might score like 14 a game. I'll be completely honest. And I love JB. JB still is growing, right? JB does things that Johnny Davis didn't. He's a better shooter, to your point. I just think Davis was a much better one-on-one guy and had to handle a much tougher offensive assignment.
What's crazy about this discussion is that I mean, Blackwell is a fantastic recruit. Like if you look back, and we're talking 10 years of recruits here, but about 8-9 years. It's Johnny Davis, it's John Blackwell. No one else is eclipsing those two as far as offensive, output from his recruits, it just shows you how good of a get John Blackwell really was and how good of an evaluation Greg Gard did on him and the assistants.
Dude crushed it, right? Multiple instances where Greg Gard has gone out and absolutely crushed it, either portal evaluations or high school evaluations. There was a time several years ago where I was a little critical of some of his high school evaluations. There were more misses there than I thought there should have been. But recently, the dude's hitting like 80%, and he's just firing at an unbelievable clip. All right, we're going to take a quick second here. Come back. Winning Gambler says Gard was lucky to get both players. I don't think there's luck there. I think there's talent and skill and evaluation. All right, let's take a quick second here. We're going to come back. We got more. I got a couple more. I got a Greg Gard one for Rajiv as well. Plus, we have a couple starred in the comments. We're going to come back. First, a quick second for our friends of the show over at Gametime. Rajiv, you're probably excited about this read. I'm about to get into this read, and I think you're going to enjoy the World Cup coming to North America for the first time since 1994. 48 teams are lining up. It's going to be massive, but let's be honest, getting tickets is sometimes just stressful things you don't want to deal with. You want to get out there and watch the matches. You want to see the people, the fans, the environment. You don't want to be on your computer trying to find the best deal. What are the sight lines from this seat? All these type of things. Gametime takes all that stress out and puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. Pull up the app. The layout makes so much sense. You can easily see where the seats are, where the matchups are. You can compare seat views, and what you see on the screen is what you're going to pay. There's no hidden fees. Enough of that nonsense. We're done with that. This is 2025. No more hidden fees, people. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets every match with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, download the app, make an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Let's hit it up with Gametime. Rajiv, you going to any of those?
Heck yeah, man. I'm trying to go to at least one England game, one US game. And let me tell you, Gametime is the absolute way to go because you can also get last minute stuff on there too. The ticket prices right now are outrageous for the World Cup. I'm not paying anywhere near that. I'm using Gametime last minute.
I love it, dude. Maybe I'll even go to a soccer game with you.
Hey, let's do it.
Okay, maybe. No, listen, everything live sporting I love though. And I've heard nothing but amazing things about the fanatical nature of soccer fans. So I'm all about it. Let's do this one. Ready? Greg Gard has leaned, fact or fiction, has leaned too heavily into this new offensive system and desperately needs to recruit an actual post player with some skill.
Fact. Fact. Very much fact. This is an easy one for me. I have a similar one that I won't get to because Ricardo kind of talked about this, but I think that like, it's fine. I'm all for recruiting guys that can shoot, but guess what? We've had a litany of guys who can post up and shoot the three. You don't need to you don't need to have a guy that can't shoot and can just park out in the lane. No. You got to get someone who can play that post game. And if you discount that, I think Greg Gard's going to pay the price for that. Like, it's going to hurt us in March. It's going to hurt us in the Big Ten season. You have to play in the post. This conference is extremely physical. You watch what Nebraska's even doing. You watch what Michigan's doing. You watch what Illinois is doing. Those guys are big. They're physical, and they play down low, and we're not going to be able to stop them, and we can't do it against them. Listen, if we're shooting 55% from three, we're going to beat anybody in the country. No problem. But when we're not, when we have a 25% day out there, you don't have anyone down low that you can give that ball to. I think it's absolutely a miss. I do think that will get corrected. I feel like they're going to see that and know we got to get that in next year. We've got to develop that. But you're seeing it right now, missing Crowell. We're going to be a really good team this year, but we have a glaring hole that he needs to fix, and he's leaning way too much the other way.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. 100% agree. And it's not a knock on this system. It's just when you're, and I've said this for years about our defense, I would love to play a zone a little more, and Greg Gard has started to do that occasionally because I want the versatility. You need a little more versatility in layers to beat really dynamic teams. Offensively, having a post guy just makes you more versatile. It adds a layer to your offense that makes it more difficult to defend the three-point shooting. It augments one. Like, there's this fallacy that says we're going to really embrace this. And I know Greg Gard doesn't think this. Greg Gard knows more about basketball than I do. But there is a bit of a fallacy with coaches and players and fans that say we're going to open it up, so we just need 5 guys that can sit on the perimeter and shoot. You works much better if you have an interior post guy that you can play out of, that you can command a little double team to, that you have a pressure release for, that opens up your 3-point shooting. So I agree. I think you look at all the recruits recently in the last several years, portal or high school, it's all been geared towards shooting. You have outside of maybe Will Garlock, who was an in-state kid that they wouldn't have recruited if he wasn't in-state. Outside of that, it's all shooting, spacing. They need to find a guy who doesn't matter if he shoots threes. Can he play in the post and score with efficiency down there? I agree with you. I think they got to find that spot.
And to be fair, I do think that Greg Gard thought that this year Nolan Winter might have been that. I mean, they obviously put on a lot of weight. They worked on it. He mentioned it at Big Ten Media Days. Like, clearly it was a thing. Hasn't really materialized that way. And look, I mean, I've loved that. I love that about the Bo Ryan years. Like, Mike Wilkinson was one of my all-time favorite players at Wisconsin, and that dude was a bruiser down low. He could also shoot the three, and Bo Ryan was great at developing those post moves. He talked about that all the time. Like, he worked on post moves constantly with those 4s and 5s, and it showed. And all of his 4s and 5s could score down there, and it's such a needed thing. It's the position I played when growing up, and I love playing down on the box, and I just feel like we need that. And I do think he thought Winter was going to be that. And maybe we can still see Bieliauskas and Garlock develop that this season, but it's a glaring miss.
I don't think anybody's going to be that guy this year.
Yeah.
Maybe Beals next year. And certainly Garlock has 3 years to do it. Nobody's writing him off. But yeah, they're not going to have that guy this year, unfortunately. All right, let me say, I have one more. You have one more?
I do have one more, yeah.
All right, we'll each do one more, and then we got a couple in the chat we'll get to quickly for sure. All right, what's your last one?
So this one it's kind of like that. It's kind of like your other one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Back to fiction. Wisconsin's new identity as a high octane 3 heavy offense will hurt them more than it helps them in March.
I am going to say fiction on this. I think it helps them more than it hurts them. And it does it in a way that is really comes down to team building, right? I think it, in a roundabout way, you get more talent by playing this offense. And I think talent wins in March. I think you recruit in a certain way. You've already seen it with the in-state kids, the really high athlete kids that never would have considered us. Wisconsin's going to start getting more of those because of the way we play. And in the portal era, you don't land anybody unless you're willing. I shouldn't say that, but you don't land the type of shooters and offensive players you need unless you play a certain style. So I think from a talent building standpoint, you get talent in the door this way that you never would have before. And I think the ceiling's higher because of that.
That is a really good point. And I hadn't really thought about it from a perspective of getting that talent that thus makes you better in March. I was going to say fact on this, because I do think that the fact that we lack of the post play, lack of that defensive structure, and like that whole system, I think will hurt us in March. I think it will. Look, the bottom line is we're going to lose in March when we shoot 18% from three, which will happen. It does happen. You've seen it happen. So that's going to cause us to lose. But you are right. I think that's a very good point. I hadn't thought about it. So I'll kind of put my answers in the middle because I do think you're right. We're going to get better recruits. We're going to get better players. But ultimately, if we don't have that defensive structure and we don't have another offensive weapon we can rely on other than the 3-point line, which is a great weapon, we're going to get cooked in March when we're not shooting very well.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd say, and listen, you're totally right. Like, there's going to be some games, hopefully not in March, but in the regular season, let's say, where we shoot 18%, we still jack up 35 shots, and Michigan State boat races us or whatever. But you go back to those Bo Ryan teams, a lot of those teams got gutted in March because they couldn't score because they didn't have athletes. You look at his big runs, it was with a team full of athletes that shot the ball. Now, I would be curious to see that group in this scheme where we're pushing even more. Offensively, my goodness, could that have been unique. But I think you look at his one run, and it was nominally around a team that's kind of like this, where they had more offensive freedom and they shot more. So I just think you need that in March, unless you're just incredibly disciplined like Virginia does occasionally. So I hear you, though. There is going to be up or down with 3-point shooting team.
Yeah.
Fact or fiction, the Badgers will lose at least 2 foundational pieces in the portal this offseason. So foundational is obviously a relative term, but I'm talking about guys that when they leave, it hits you like a gut punch. Think of a Kevin Haywood or like a Nicholas Clayton or Eugene Hilton or anybody in that ilk. Fact or fiction, the Badgers lose 2 guys in the portal this offseason that makes you take another drink of whiskey.
Yeah, definite fact. In fact, I would have also probably said fact with 3, just because, I mean, remember when like Chucky Hepburn left the basketball team and how much of a gut punch that was? Like, you're always going to have guys that you hope will stay, and you're going to have guys that you totally think are going to stay that are going to leave. I'm worried about Eugene Hilton. Definitely. I mean, you could say you're worried about Nick Clayton. I mean, hell, we could even see Poster Catalano go. Not that I expect that, but that would be an insane gut punch. So yeah, I mean, and even guys like an Emerson Mandel, or there's a lot of people, even on the D line, there's guys that I think if they left, it's going to happen. I'm definitely saying fact, and I probably would say even 3, and it's scary. I'm just hoping that we can make everything up in the portal. But honestly, with the vibes that this team had for most of the year, yes, at the end of the year, it got better. That sort of environment that players were in is a difficult environment to stay in another year when someone's offering you a little bit more money, or maybe it's a little better situation, or you think that team has a shot at the playoff, or maybe it's, I'm going to go get a ton of playing time stepping out of the MAC, or whatever the reasoning is. You're going to get those gut punches. I think it's a fact.
Yeah, I think so too. And I don't think it's even necessarily, although you hit on a good point, this wasn't the cleanest season for the Badgers in a lot of ways, but I think every team loses foundational guys every year now. We do locked on shows where we collaborate with each other and we talk on the side with all the locked on hosts. Georgia's going to lose dudes that they don't want to lose. Bama's going to lose dudes. Ohio State's going to lose dudes. So sadly, I think it is fact, but it is the era that we live in. Let's hit a couple of these starred comments up for G. Fact or fiction? Let's see here. We had some good ones. Sorry, I had a couple that I want to throw up here. Let's talk positional coaches. Hooger, fact or fiction? We won't fire any positional coaches. And in his opinion, he says, even though we really need to, I think this is fiction. I do think there will be some staff movement, and I think it could be more than one. Now, I don't think the coordinators are going anywhere, and obviously Luke Fickell's not going anywhere, but I am going to say fiction on this one, Hoogs.
Yeah, I'm going to say fiction officially, but I do think there's something to this, Hooger. I think that we could really be upset with the coaches that they don't move on, and maybe there's just one, which frankly still isn't enough. Maybe it's I think what most Badger fans would likely say, you need several changes as position coaches, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's very clear that you're going to have that we're running it back. Fickell's back. The coordinators are back, and everyone just feels like we got a raw deal with our quarterback situation this year. Our defense did get better. Defensively, you're probably not seeing any changes because the defense was better, even though you still need some cornerback. But if offensively, there's going to have to be some shifts. Maybe it's not. So yeah, I don't think there's going to be as much as we want, but I'm still going to say that there'll be at least 1 or 2.
If I put it at 1.5, where are you at?
Under.
Okay. Yeah.
I think 1 is probably where it lands.
I think it's 2, but I think it's 1.5, I think is a solid number there.
Yeah.
Actor Fiction G from Aiden. Dylan Raiola, likely to enter the portal. From what I heard today and the last couple of days, it sounds like at least they almost entered the portal last year, for the record. Not a great year this year, coming off an injury. Would you kick the tires on Dylan Raiola?
No, thank you. Don't like Dylan Raiola. Don't think he's going to be a good quarterback. Honestly, I don't want a Nebraska guy showing up here. I'm totally out on Dylan Raiola. Even if he says, I want to come to Wisconsin, you can go somewhere else, buddy. I'm out.
I agree. I put him very much in the DJ Legway category of an uber recruit, 5-star kid who then you watch him play and you're like, I feel like you're paying for the name. I feel like you're paying for the recruiting pedigree and you're not paying for the talent. Give me multiple guys ahead of Dylan Raiola or DJ Legway, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, if you give me like Bryce Underwood, I'll take that. I'll take that 5-star guy because I think Bryce Underwood's going to be really good.
Too, man. I think I don't think we're going to get him. Factor Fiction from Stephen Keel. Wisconsin makes it to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. We have a few data points now. I am going to say fiction. Oh, gosh. I actually am going to say fiction on this. I need to see more consistency. I think it could definitely happen. It can absolutely happen, but we could also lose pretty early with this team if it doesn't shoot well, because I don't think, to your point earlier, I don't think they have a backup option right now.
I've said multiple times on this show that the system is going to hurt them, but we need a post player. But my heart will not allow me to say fiction on this. I just can't. I cannot handle another first weekend exit in the NCAA tournament. So I'm going to say fact just because it's totally with my heart. In my head would probably say otherwise. Look, the one difference that I would say that helps us, which we haven't really talked about tonight, is we do have that outlet in Nick Boyd scoring at the rim and his ability to penetrate. That is a real weapon that a lot of teams don't have, and a lot of teams cannot stop. So if he continues to improve, especially his ability to pass out of that drive sometimes when that's not there, rather than taking some crazy, layup that may or may not work, actually kick that ball out. I think if that improves, he is a secret weapon for us this year. So I do feel like we're still going to get there, not because we're a better team and we have a better system, but just because shooting does translate. It is lucky. And if we are hot those first couple of weeks, we are going to get past there. And I can't take another first weekend exit. I can't. I need a Sweet 16 from this team.
I would love it. Nothing would make me happier to be wrong on this. Slim says Rail is very good. Check the season stats. He's going to a school that will go to the CFP. Certainly Slim disagrees with us there, which is totally cool. I just don't really like his game. And I also don't think he's a good fit for Grimes, for the record. Like he needs to be more of just a 4-out pro style offense where the RPO stuff I don't think he's great at. Aiden says, I appreciate that answer. Aiden, we appreciate you, brother.
I don't know where can't think of where Raiola would honestly go. That would be a CFP like team that I just don't see that happening. He's not going to make a team a lot better. I don't think he's going to take you. And now if one of the CFP teams currently loses their quarterback, maybe like a Miami and Carson Beck, okay. But I still don't think he elevates. He's not Carson Beck. I don't think he elevates a team to that level.
LSU needs a quarterback, obviously, with the new coach. I'm blanking on his name. Ole Miss. Help me out, please, really quick. Sorry, I can't think of his name. Thank you, Kiffin heading there. That'd be interesting. Kiffin likes kind of traditional, kind of big arm guys. I don't know. That's possible. Hooger says Dylan Longerhand. I don't know if you've seen him. Watch much of him at all from Boston College. I like him. He's my number 2 guy. And Hooger, you turned me on to him a little bit. There's a show that's releasing Wednesday. I did kind of my top 5. He's right behind Colton Joseph for me. I like him. He's got 2 years of eligibility. He's played at Boston College. So that means he's played Clemson. He's played Georgia Tech. He's played Michigan State, Pitt. He's played real teams. He threw for 2,000 yards, 12 touchdowns, 5 picks this year. So he was pretty good against actual teams. 66% completion percentage. He's 6'2". He's got 2 years of eligibility left. I like him. The reason I have Colton Joseph higher is he's just a more mobile, bigger frame, bigger athlete. And again, if you're going to run the Grimes system, I don't know if Dylan is that guy. I don't think he's the best fit for Grimes, but I really like him.
Yeah, I haven't watched his film yet. I have heard about him. I know that he's one of the guys that we're looking at. I just need to watch him. I didn't watch any Boston College this year. But yeah, that's listen, Colton, Edgar Allen says, you guys told me on Colton. Colton played at Old Dominion. Right? He's not like he's played great competition. He did play against Indiana this year, but his skills should translate very well to the Big Ten. I think that's clear. And you put him behind a good offensive line, you give him better running backs, receivers, everybody. And I think he will really succeed with us.
Last comment here I'll put up, and then we'll do last thoughts. Hooger says Joseph has ankle issues. Listen, I'm not sure of that. If there's medical issues, then no, I don't
Look,
want.
I actually have heard this.
Okay.
I think this might be a thing. And I don't know his history, but I've heard multiple people comment on this now. Not just on, I've heard multiple on this show and also on Twitter. So I need to look into that. I don't know if that's a thing, but I know your take on injuries. You're like, I want a guy that's completely healthy.
That 100%. Like if this dude sprained an ankle in the 4th grade heading to science class because he tripped over Miss Mary's lunchbox, I don't want him. I don't want anybody with a medical history anymore. Like, you have to have a healthy guy come in. And this is why I've been so steadfast the entire year of no way Billy Edwards comes here. Send him to Murmansk on a cargo ship. I don't care. I don't want anybody that is hurt.
Like, if he wants to back up Colton Joseph, I'm totally fine with it.
Oh my gosh, dude, he cannot be on this team next year. He would have
It's
to
ridiculous. We didn't even see him play this year. I'm not saying as a starter, but don't he's way better than any quarterback we've had all season. Come on.
No, Billy would have to give me NIL to be on this team.
Oh my God.
Blackwell Lover says, what about Kenny Minchie? I like him too. Minchie, Notre Dame guy, 2 years of eligibility left, also 6'2", really good thrower in theory, but he doesn't have a lot of reps. So you are taking a bit of a risk there. Good prospect, good size. Again, not a great dual threat, but pretty mobile in the pocket. That's another interesting one as well.
We need to have someone who's got some proven skills, proven abilities that actually is going to start here. And we're going to pay for it. And if we're going to pay for it, you got to have someone that has that ability.
Chad says, man, we're getting into a quarterback one, which is great. I talk about this more on Wednesday, but Harvard, Jaden Craig, Rajiv, 6'3", mobile, threw for 2,800 yards, 25 touchdowns, 7 picks.
This, by the way, is my number 2 guy, Jaden Craig. I like Jaden Craig. I like Jaden Craig a lot. And I should have brought him up earlier. This is a guy that I feel like if this is the guy that we get, I would be very, very happy with it. And I think he could really, really work well in Grimes' system.
So I'm curious because I had him in 6 on my big board, which means I'm still like be better than anything we have here. I don't love that he has 1 year left. Everyone else that I kind of have a little higher as 2 years. I feel like ideally I want a 2-year guy. What do you like so much about Jaden Craig? What am I missing here?
Yeah. So first of all, the reason is because that 1 year doesn't bother me. We've had multiple years of the 1 year guy, and I don't care about that only because we've got Ryan Hopkins coming in. If Carter Smith stays, like we've got depth there. I would much rather just get the guy that I think fits into the system. His mobility and his size, his strength. And frankly, I think he throws a nice ball. I like the way he reads the pocket. I threw for tons of yards this year, several touchdowns. I just think he's a guy that has a lot of pocket presence and poise. And I want a guy that has that poise. It's not going to just go running every time someone shows up. Like, I like his poise in the pocket. Now, different competition level in the Big Ten, of course, but I feel like he translates well. If we got Jaden Craig, I'd be happy.
Also different competition level at ODU. Old Dominion for Colton Joseph for sure. Hooger is not a fan. He's cool, but he ain't a starter. Rampage says Jaden Craig. Nope. Also not a Jaden Craig fan. I do like to frame. He's 6'3", 6'2". I'm not sure he's the best athlete in terms of just being able to really break contain, really run what Grimes wants to do, but it'll be interesting. All right, we're going to wrap it there. Again, we went 42 minutes, and I got to board a plane in like 4 hours. So I actually need to go because I need to sleep for an hour or two and then drive to the cities. Rajiv, as always, man, these shows are great. Really, really fun. Fact or fiction. I'm feeling more optimistic about this. You?
I mean, we'll see.
On Wisconsin, thank you so much for tuning in as always, and we will talk to you mañana.